Hiya, we're back on the GTI again. So yeah, let's crack on. As always, easy to get distracted and mocked up some spare sub 900 aero wheels I've got. Obviously these aren't going to fit, they're completely the wrong stud pattern and centre bore I suspect, and the 15s are a bit too small, but I don't know, kind of cool though. I'm also in the process of refurbing these fuel tank straps. These have been wire wheeled down now off camera and had rust converter, so these will be getting painted up today. The rear axle has been fully sorted out and painted and everything. I'm waiting on a few more bits to arrive for the full rebuild of that, and that's going to be its own video because I don't think there's really a video on YouTube of someone doing it on a Mark III. Maybe a Mark II, maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but either way I think that will be a kind of a cool, nice episode to do of a full rear axle rebuild. So yeah, I ended up doing it off camera just because of other things, but the fuel tank straps are now painted. I'm really happy with how these came out. They look really, really, really nice. And yeah, it'll be really cool to see these on the car underneath. On the bright side, this does mean we can now cross something off the list, although disappointingly I'm going to ruin the vibe because it's completely the wrong colour, but I don't really care at this point. Nice. Just 80 million more things to go. So, obviously there's a lot of welding to do on this car, but this is one of the bits. This is kind of just the bottom of the rear arch line, and it's gone through here, so we need to refabricate this. Some people might argue this obviously isn't essential. You could just cut this off here, but then you would probably get a load of mud and crap in your rear bumper, and I want to do this properly, so yeah, that's the plan. I was given this fresh but scrap wing by a local body shop, and I found that this has got a few useful bits I think to do this repair. So I've got a few pieces here that I've kind of started figuring out. I worked out that this sort of angled, I guess, zigzag profile is really quite close to this here. So I think I'm going to use this bit to kind of repair here, and then this bit has this little kick on it just like here, so I think I'm going to use this to repair it. It's also got this ribbing in, so it's nice and strong, because the original piece I think does have one rib here. But anyway, yeah, we're going to strip this all back a bit more now so we can see what we're working with more on the inside as well. So obviously when we're welding, the underseal doesn't burn or catch on fire, and yeah, we'll go from there. Now that I've cleaned that back a bit more, yeah, this isn't too bad, so I'm just going to cut on this pink line, and I'm just going to see how those bits I've got sort of sit up. Right, so hopefully you can see I'm fairly happy about that sitting now, and we've got that line flowing quite nicely down. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to tack this on, and then kind of work out the shaping and then this inside bit, and obviously trim this down or sort of bend an edge over to then weld the other piece in. But yeah, let's get this tacked on, I think. Nice, good stuff. It's always a relief when the first tack on extremely thin sheet metal doesn't blow out. Never gets old, that. So yeah, we've got a lovely nice little tack weld there, and that's all sitting pretty well, so I'm going to get that tacked up a bit more. So I've got a nice little tack there, and that's sitting really nicely. It's nice and smooth. What I will make sure I do though is I will give this some time for each tack for the heat to dissipate, because obviously this is thin steel here. I don't want anything to warp or increase the risk of stuff blowing through, so it is something to note. This is 0.75, so you know, even by like Japanese car standards, this is sort of very thin. Now, in terms of like, is this the prettiest welding I've ever done? Absolutely not. But the main thing is that we're making sure this is on there, and the flat disc is going to clean this all up anyway. But it is definitely nicely on there because you can actually see this arch above it moving, so I'm happy with that. So I'm now going to work out this inner piece. In terms of like the alignment and stuff, it's absolutely spot on, so I'm really happy about that. Yeah, it's looking really good. This will get cleaned up as well, and we'll make sure this is all nice and flush. pretty happy with that. I'm now going to trim this excess just so I can get in here to make that cut. And then yeah, we'll figure it out from there. It's not perfect, but it's a little bit better. We kind of start to gauge where we want to go now. Let's get the piece up that I'm going to use, I think, to sort of fill in, and we can go from there. This lighting is mega bright, but there's what it is. So this is the piece we're going to put in. It's got this ribbing in it. It's a mount sort of off the wing, so it's got this strengthening in it. Like on the panel here, it's also been cut out now, but yeah, I think this is going to be an ideal bit to weld in. Rust. Not wanted. I think first things first, let's cut this tab off because it's just in the way. It's stopping me from mocking it up properly. Definitely need to trim this next. It's still in the way, and it's kind of stopping us from figuring out how to actually piece this together. So let's cut this lip back a bit. We'll figure it out. It's always these ones you forget about, and then when you're underneath a car grinding, you sit on it, and yeah, ouch. Yeah, we can come further in than that, I think, still. Again, I think a little bit more trimming still, actually. Still not quite on the money. Trying to remind myself how it looks on the other side. Yeah, I mean, either way, it's going to be interesting. This bit sits there anyway. Let's have a look at the other side and just refresh our memory on how this is going to work. Oh, that's convenient, a GTI seat to sit on. Okay, so now we're on the other side, and this is still original panel. Fortunately, this one I didn't have to cut up. We can see there's about 5mm difference between the height of here and here. I'm not too worried if this is like not spot on, but I want to get it fairly close. Okay, yeah, so we don't really want to make this piece shorter at all. We just want to get that piece in. Let's try and figure this out. Okay, so here we are. I'm gonna sit this in here, I think, and kind of mark this out and try to get it fairly closely dialed in, and we will figure out what we can do from there. I think we could go on like this, and then the lines would be more square. Maybe that's better. I think certainly I need to chop this and this off, so I think let's cut this off and then we'll figure it out. I think rather annoyingly, because of the access we've got here, I'm just going to have to keep cutting this up in slits until it's all thin enough to kind of pull out, and then get a file in and straighten that edge out. Is what it is. Unfortunately, we just can't really cut any more of this bottom piece off, so yeah, we'll make it work. I'm now going to sort of trace this in and then slowly get it down to a size that I'm happy with. A little bit better, we're getting there now. Next thing now really is to try and work out this little angle here that comes off of this outer piece. I think the best way to do this is probably just going to be to very slowly cut in and in until we get it sitting fairly well. Then I will probably file these edges up and stuff and just give us hopefully the cleanest result we can get. Okay, I put a very slight angle on that, and now we're just going to kind of walk it in until we get somewhere that's hopefully half okay. Well, that's better, not getting a little bit ill anymore. Yeah, definitely more angle required on that. We're getting close. I'm going to trim these paint edges a bit closer. Perfect little bit of float there, just for the weld to get in and penetrate nicely. So next thing I'm going to do is try and flatten this down with a file, and then I think we can get this pretty close to being ready to weld in. Yeah, that's a horrible noise, isn't it? We're getting nice and close now. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think get this tacked in, I think we can square a few more things up and work out how we're going to do this bend and things. Nice. It's always a relief doing that first tack. God damn it. Things I have to do, honestly. This light is kind of a pain to move around, but it is very good for stuff like this. I will say that. Just beating this down just to try and line these edges up and get everything just sitting a little bit nicer. Yeah, not fun welding this stuff at all. It's definitely not the prettiest, and I've got a little bit of a hole blown here. It's okay though. I'll back it with some aluminium to take the heat out of the weld, and we'll try and fill this in. If there are any pinholes and things, it's not really the end of the world. The seam sealer will fill it, so yeah, it could be worse. Okay, I'm fairly happy with that for now as it stands. I'm going to now trim this in and kind of work out how we're going to join these two separate pieces in now together. Okay, so as you can see, definitely not the prettiest welding. This stuff's just so thin. It's very hard to manage the heat in it. As you can see, we've got a little bit of blow through here. I will sort this out. I've trimmed this little piece out and I'm fairly happy with how it's sitting. I think the best thing I can try to do now is to just get a tack in here, pushing these two bits together, and then I can kind of work my way up and just weld it all together. And I think once the flat disc has got to all of this, it'll look pretty good. I am going to trim a tiny bit more off of here just to bring this in to this space so it's kind of a bit more flush. I'm going to finish this off with the file just to dial it in a bit more safely. Grinder, it's very easy to go too far. It's nice, there's no actual lip now. Okay, hopefully you guys can see, but I've notched this out. You can see where I'm going to hold this in. I'm going to weld down here. This is nice and tight, and yeah, this should be, I think actually, yeah, overall a pretty good repair, to be honest. Main thing is just going to be putting enough pressure on this piece to make sure they're nice and flush when I weld it. Shouldn't be too bad. Okay, here it goes. Hopefully this goes okay. The light of death is going to have to come back, because unfortunately otherwise it's just a nightmare seeing everything. Be a good idea to have a ground clamp, wouldn't it? Amateur hour, honestly. Okay, I found my piece of alley. I'm going to try and fill in these blowouts. This is going to be not fun, if I'm honest, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the beast. Yeah, did the job. Not pretty though. I'm going to quickly try and weld them from the back as well, just so I've got them filled nicely. Trust the iPhone, whole thing. I think I'm going to actually back this one with the alley the other way around. I think it's just a bit easier access wise. Honestly though, this is a nifty little trick. I think normally body shops use a much bigger piece. Obviously you get a lot more heat absorption, but better than nothing. Yeah, that sucked. Thankfully the shock actually allowed me to mount my phone on the spring. Okay, cool. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at with that in terms of welding. Definitely not going anywhere, so I'm going to hit this with the flat disc and clean it up, and yeah, if I see any pinholes, if they need welding, I'll weld them, but if not, seam sealer will take care of all of that. It's also going to get shined up with the wire wheel, and then hit with some rust converter, because there was a little bit of surface rust there that I didn't cut out. And I'll clean up this sharp edge as well. So that is us pretty much done. I'm actually pretty happy with how this turned out. So yeah, I will hit this with some rust converter and then some zinc primer, then seam sealer, and then I need to work out what my coating over all of that is going to be still. But yeah, I hope you guys have really enjoyed this video. It's been nice to kind of do some welding and film it and edit it all. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one.